Guys, if you would turn to Matthew chapter 22. Just to give you a brief little update, I know it's a little warmer here the past couple of weeks. We did have our bath unit go down out of 3. We're hopefully going to have that replaced here within the next couple of weeks. We also had one of the units in the children's ward go out within the same 2-week period, so we will have both of those, Lord willing, in about 2 weeks, about 7 or 10 days will be the time frame when both of those are replaced. And so if I could just get you to do me a favor, and if you guys can breathe the first few minutes, and then you guys breathe the next, and we can just kind of rotate it, we'll probably stop a lot of the heat. Okay. Matthew 22. Man, we got so much going on. It's good to have Chuck here today from our Indian Reservation Mission. On our behalf, he's our representative, but he's representing God most importantly, and it's always good to have Chuck back. Going through the book of Matthew, man, I'm excited about today. We've seen a lot of really great things. Today, even just seeing the kids in their mission work and just having fun. I believe every one of our guys in the church have a ponytail at some point in that video. But just seeing the kids laughing and cutting up, but most of all, seeing them investing into the lives of kids is just an awesome thing. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. It looks like we're going to cover a lot more ground than we are today, but we will get done what we get done today, and we will complete this passage when the time is right. Verse 34. Now, I'm not skipping. I'm going to refer to the other verses. But in verse 34 it says, "But when the Pharisees heard that they had silenced the Sadducees," when Jesus silenced the Sadducees with his reply, they met together to question him again. Now, we're going to talk about the history because the Pharisees and the Sadducees did not like each other, you see. So you call that in. Hey, listen, just give me a break. I'm trying to be funny. I'm going to introduce a little humor in here. Just pretend like it's funny. One of them, an expert in religious law, he tried to trap Jesus, which was the method of operation time and time again. They sought to get Jesus in a position where whatever he said would bring about his execution quicker than the Lord's plan. So they asked him a question. He was an expert of the law. He knew the law front and back. In verse 36, it says, "Teacher, which is the most important commandment in the law of Moses?" Now understand, these were practitioners of the law. They had the law memorized. They committed it to heart. They knew the law of God. So he is trying to trick him and say, which is the greatest commandment? Now to me, that's an awesome question. Mark tells us that he may have had a little more sincerity than what we see in Matthew, that he really wanted to know, what is the greatest commandment? Which commandment out of all the commandments? Now, when we think of commandments, how do we think of? How many do we think of? 10. Did you know the Pharisees had 613 commandments? They were practitioners of 613 laws, and they were broken into 2 categories, the heavy laws and the light laws, or the greater laws and the lesser laws. And so out of 613, they said, which is the greatest? And Jesus replied, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, and all your soul, and all your mind. The question was singular. Which command, singular, is the greatest? But Jesus answers in a plural setting. This is the first and greatest command. You go, okay, that's great, we can end there. But a second command is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. So they ask a singular question. Jesus gives them a dual answer. And then the entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these 2 commands. So what he does is it brings about a little confusion to the religious leaders. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you this background, and we'll cover as much ground as we can today, but there's a lot of content here. What we did not read is verses 15 through 22. And it's not that we're going to spend the time today exposing that, but let me just reference that if I can. I call that God and government. They came to Jesus and they tried to trick Jesus. And they said, should we pay taxes? Now you say, how in the world could that trick Jesus? Because if Jesus said yes, then they would say that he is honoring a kingdom other than the heavenly kingdom by honoring Roman rule. And if he said no, then those Herod followers would say, well, then you're exposing yourself to an open rebellion and you are against the government. And either way, they would have sought to arrest him. So there were two groups in verses 15 through 22. The Pharisees, the religious zealots, nutcases. And then it was the followers of Herod, and that's how the New Living Translation describes them. They never got along, they've never been partners, but here they come together to try to hurt Jesus. And you notice how they use cheap flattery. They said, we know you're an honest man. Let me say this, there is a difference, and I especially say this to young girls, there's a difference between empty flattery and a genuine compliment. And they use an empty flattery. Flattery is trying to accomplish something you set your mind to that the other person is not aware of by using empty compliments. Compliment is generally recognizing the character of somebody and making an acknowledgement. And they said, we know you're an honest man, we know you're a good man, so answer the question. And Jesus, I like the way he answered it, and this is all we're going to spend on that. He said, you got a coin? And they said, yeah. And he said, let me have the coin. He said, whose head's on the coin? They said, Caesar. He said, okay, then you give to Caesar's. You give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and you give to the kingdom of God what is the kingdom of God. And they didn't have anything to say to that. So then the second thing we see here, and we're not going to spend a lot of time, and that is the God of the living, verse 23 and 20 through 33. There's 10 verses. They come to trick Jesus yet another time here in Matthew 22. And they look to trick Jesus with an old theological question. We've talked about the religious crowd and how they try to hurt Jesus, how they try to trick Jesus. And many of us, let me just make a quick note on this. Many of us feel like we're under attack a lot of times. And you know what? You're right. But, this passage, as I studied this week, I thought I'm no better than Jesus. And the church continually attacked, the religious people continually attacked Jesus. They're going to continually attack us. Sometimes the people you think should be your biggest supporters are the ones who hurt you the most. The church that says we love Jesus and we care about Jesus oftentimes doesn't show the love of Jesus. The church can become very judgmental, very self-centered and ego-driven. We can say we love and care for the needs of people, but walk right past them and overlook them. We can be judgmental about the way they dress. We can be judgmental about the way they talk, the amount of money they carry, or the lack thereof. And that's not love. And that's the crowd that Jesus faced years ago. It's the crowd that we often see in our life today too. But this is a group you don't see much of, and they're called the Sadducees. And they were always at odds with the Pharisees. Very quickly, and this is just a historical lesson. The Pharisees believed in the practice of the law, and they believed in the 613 laws. They followed those laws as much as they could to a T, and they believed in a God that would resurrect. The Sadducees only believed in the first 5 books of the Old Testament, the Pentateuch. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That's all they believed in. Anything outside of those first 5 books was invalid and not relatable to them. They believed when a person died, then they died, and that was it. And the Sadducees had a mindset that I'm going to get all I can on this earth because there's nothing after. So they were oftentimes loyal to the government in order to use religion to get financial gain. Kind of like today, huh? You ever seen that? If you haven't, I encourage you to go home and turn on the TV and you'll see there are people who want to use religion by means of financial gain, and they manipulate the minds of people searching for something to pad their bank accounts and their wallets. And that was basically the Sadducees. So they came to him and they asked Jesus a question. They said, when a man is married and he has children and the man dies, and then she marries the kinsman redeemer, and then that person dies, when they get to heaven, whose wife or whose father, who will she belong to? And see, number one, they didn't even believe that there was an afterlife, so they were trying to trick Jesus. So Jesus asked them a question that no doubt made him mad. He said, don't you read the Bible? Now, that would be like asking Mozart, do you know anything about music? Can you imagine? Jesus said, don't you read the Bible? And that offended them greatly. And what Jesus pointed out here when he gave them the answer in verse 29, don't you read the Bible? And he quoted from Exodus, one of the books that they believed in, chapter 3, verse 6. And he said, I'm the God of the Old Testament heroes, and God is the God of the living. What he said then was, these men that you worship, for lack of better terminology, you think they're dead, but I'm the God of these of these individuals, and they're still living today, and they had nothing to say about that. What Jesus proved in this point is he simply proved that when you die, there is something more than this world. So now we're going to get to the key of today's message. We'll cover just a few points here today, but I want to share with you verses 34 through 36. What's the greatest command? And are we doing it? Ask the question here on the screen is, who do you love? What if we were to be really honest with ourselves? Because the good answer would be the lost, right? The hurt, the broken, the unchurched, the homeless, the suffering, the disease, the sick, and all those would be the good answer. But you know what? If the honest answer was put up there, you know what? It would be one word. Begins with an S and ends with an L. Self. Who do you love? Most people, if they had to be honest, we would say, well, you know what? I love myself. Probably more than anybody. This is not the concept that Jesus put forth, and this is not the strategy of what God's church should be. So let's answer the question and get into this morning. What is the greatest commandment? The Pharisees should have been elated. They should have been ecstatic because Jesus had just crushed their enemy. Their enemy questioned the resurrection. They had been in constant battle with the Sadducees. And Jesus says, I am the God of the ones you lived in. He took organized religion and he broke it down. Organized religion has and always will be in opposition to Christ. Understand that. Please understand that religion is, in its very core, it is concocted to find an excuse for the conscience. It is something that has been created by a mortal man to bring about immortality, potentially. Christianity is the only thing that was concocted by a living, two-day God that bridges the gap between a destructive, sinful man and a holy, unchanging God. So what is the greatest commandment? Well, Jesus was asked a question, and Mark says that, like I said, this man was sincere about it. He was a religious leader, and he was looking for more than just what he had. There's a lot of people, hey, I still believe this today, there's a lot of people that are looking for something. Wouldn't you agree with that? They're looking for it. You know, people want happiness, and they want peace, and let's just be completely honest. We try to find it in finances. We try to find it in maybe exercise and getting our bodies better in shape. We try to find it in golf or racing or anything, any sport activity we like. We try to find it in eating. We try to find it in sleeping. We try to find it in prosperity or prominence in society. But we're looking for one common denominator. All of these things are searches for one thing, and that is to have peace and to be happy. People have a desire at their very core to be happy. And these men said, what is the greatest law of 613 laws that are known to our study? What is the greatest law? Why? Because if you remember the story of the rich guy, he came to Jesus and he said, what must I do to be saved? And Jesus said, keep the commands. And he said, all these things have I kept. He didn't say I kept all 10 commandments. He said, I've kept all 613. And Jesus says, okay, sell everything you had. He said, I can do that. Jesus wasn't interested in his money, he was interested in his heart, and he wasn't being true to his heart when he said he kept 613. Let's be honest, it's hard enough to keep 10, right? Huh? It is hard enough to keep 10, much less 613. So Jesus said, listen, you want to be a lawkeeper, then submit to the authority of the law. Don't want to confuse you. The question was asked, what is the greatest command? And Jesus said, I want you to understand, I can't answer with one, but I'll answer with two. But they both carry the same way. Love God and love people. If I asked you today to quote what I just said, every one of you could do it from the littlest to the oldest. Love God and love people. 4 words, simple to memorize, simple to remember. Yet at its very core, the most difficult thing we do as believers is to truly love God and truly love other people. We must love God and God's people if we are going to be true in our relationship with God. 1 John 4:20 says, if someone says, I love God, but hates a fellow believer, that person is a liar. For if we don't love people we see, how can we love God whom we cannot see? I didn't make this up. I didn't pretend this was mine. God's Word says, if we say we love God, but we hate His people, we are lying to ourselves. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? Because we profess Jesus, but our lives sometimes take a different route. So today we'll talk about the first point, and that'll be it, and that is love God. This is foundational. Without this, nothing else can exist in our Christian life. He is referring to what the Jews know as Shema, S-H-E-M-A. The Shema is a concoction of 3 different passages in the Old Testament that tell us to love God. It is Deuteronomy chapter 6, Deuteronomy chapter 11, and Numbers 15. It was the most familiar and the most quoted scripture for the faithful Jew of its time. It is our version of John 3:16. So in the Jewish basketball games, instead of having John 3:16, they would have Shema written up here. It was the verse that says, love God with all your heart. Jesus was reminding them of what they already knew. See, in the New Testament, we talk about the New Testament word called agapeo. In the Old Testament, there was a Hebrew word and it was called ahab. These two words are synonymous. They absolutely mean the same thing. It is a love that is a choice. It is not motivated by emotions. It is not motivated by something you can get in return. It is you simply choosing to love someone else. And Jesus says, I want you to love God. I want you to choose with your being, with all that you are, I want you to choose to love God. How are we to love God? With all of our heart, with all of our soul, with all of our mind. And Mark adds the word strength as well. John 3:16 says that God so loved the world that He gave all. That word is imperative. We've got to focus on that. He gave everything in sending His Son. And as a Christian, the key commandment that Jesus said is simple. Love me with everything you got. We want to love Jesus with our eternal soul because when we leave this world, we don't want to have the chance of going to hell. So we want to love Him with our soul, but oftentimes it stops there. He says, love me with your mind. Where your mind focuses, it's where your affections and your desires will grow. Love me in your actions. Love me in your thoughts. Love me in your words. Love God with all your being. This love goes far beyond belief. James tells us that even demons believe. So people say, well, I believe in God. Wow, that's awesome. Even demons believe. Not only they believe, but what does the Bible say they also do? They tremble. At the name of God, they shake, they shudder, because they recognize His power. Listen to me, and I promise you, I want to drill this home, and we'll pick up next week on the other. He is saying the first and greatest commandment is love God. Love Him not just in word, but in your deed, in your life, in everything that you are, and everything that you can be. Because let me tell you what love can do. Love can make you do crazy things. How many of you know that, Rachel? Man! Remember dating for the first time, falling in love with your wife? Can I get some guys in trouble for it? How many of your wives, your husbands, used to do things for you that they don't do like they used to do anymore? Raise your hand. My wife got mad at me this weekend. I just want somebody else to be in the same boat as I am. Remember when you started dating and they would open the door? You sit down. They would walk around, make sure you buckled in before they took off. Remember that? You going to do something? I want to make sure you're okay. I want you okay. Nowadays you go out and even if you're not in the car by the time it's cranked, you might be left behind. Oh, bring me back something. I text you. Used to be he'd cut all the vents on you, now all the vents are on him. You're over there sweating, he's going, you okay? Because I'm hot, I need to do something. That's how it is sometimes. We kind of, we love in the beginning, and as the Bible says, we kind of lose our first love. See, love makes you do crazy things. I remember dating my wife going to Virginia. I'm a homebody. I don't like to go places. But I remember, looking forward to when I got off work or when I finished a project or something, being able to drive up there and spend time with her and her family and just be there. I mean, it would make, I don't care if I drove in the morning, come back late at night. It didn't matter to me. I mean, I just wanted to spend time with her. Love will make you do some crazy things. Man. That's what love will do for you. It'll make you sell things to give them, work hard to provide. Especially when it comes to kids. Because they don't do nothing for you. I mean, really. They come out crying and begging for something, and then they get 16 and beg for just different things. It's just a changing of the direction. But that's the kind of love he's talking about. When you hold that baby does nothing for you. Think about it, ladies. You go through the near-death experience to have a child. The baby is demanding from the very moment that child is brought into this world, and really and truly, logically speaking, does nothing for you as far as a return or reward. But you invest and you give because you love that child. That child is given a love that nothing is expected in return other than your heart's desire is for that child to love you. That's what he's talking about. God loves us so much that He looks down, He sees us helpless, and we're wanting and begging and asking, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. And He pours His love into us, and there's very little return on His investment. And God has said, I want you to love me like that. I want you to love me not because of what you can get from me, not because of you think it might bring you a genie in the bottle down the road. I want you to love me with everything you are because you choose to, not because you have to. God's not going to make you love Him. It would be love. God wants you to choose to love Him. And let me just say this and then I'll finish. God's love, the love He's talking about, the agape love, it's so ironic. I wish I had a big whiteboard up here. Because agape love is a love that chooses to love regardless of what you get in return. Now the irony here is the agape love is an active love that is given upon somebody in which no action is expected in return. I love you with everything I've got, God, because you're God and God alone. The first, greatest, and most dogmatic response, I believe the shortest response that Jesus gave to any of His questionnaires in the New Testament is found right here. What's the greatest command? I want you to love me because you choose to love everything that you have inside. Can I just say this right here? When my children cried as they were growing up, I reacted. And many a time I was sleeping in the bed and I heard my daughter or my son cry out in the middle of the night because they were a virus attack them, and I would run to that room. You know why I did that? Not because I enjoyed the smell of the journey. I did it because I loved them. I put my arms around them and threw up all over the place, and and sometimes that happened to be me. I didn't get mad and say, okay, you know what, when you get ready, you're out of the house. I'm done with this. Every time I show you love, you react this way to me. I'm tired of it. You know what, I've done my part, you've not done yours. So really, truly, this relationship's over. I didn't do that. I loved them in spite of their sin. And I want you to understand something, that God loves me in spite of my sin. When I throw up on Him, when I'm sick, when I'm down, when I'm out, He cares for me. He shows me time and time again. He says, I want that love to be reciprocated. I want you to choose to love me with everything you are. Not everything you are on Sunday, but everything you are through the rest of the week. It's not about being perfect. None of us will ever be close to that. It is about choosing to love God. Today, my challenge to you is to live your life actively choosing to love God. Would you bow your head? With every head bowed and with every eye closed, that I appreciate so much. I am so thankful that God loves me. I am so thankful that God cares for me. I am so thankful that God should have, and if it were me, would have given up on me a long time ago. I am so thankful that He hasn't. There's one thing that we all have in common. You might be a great dad, you might not be such a good dad. You might be a great mom, you might not be such a great mom. You might be an awesome spouse, maybe not. You might be a great person by society standards, you may not be. I don't know. But there's one thing we have in common, and that is this. Everybody in this church, I really believe, would bet everything I had on it, wants to be loved by somebody. You want to feel valued. You want to feel some worth. When somebody just says, hey, I love you, I appreciate you, I'm proud of you, what a difference it makes in their life. I want to encourage you today to love God actively. Not just tell Him you love Him, but live your life actively like you care for God. Lord, my words can fall sometimes, but my actions are a living, true example of my heart for you. Lord, I want to love you. I want to pray for you. As we leave here in just a moment, I want you to walk out of here with a determination these next days, next few days, to be focused on choosing to actively love the Lord. Father, we come to you today. We thank you for allowing us to be here. We ask that in the name of Jesus you would be with our Bible school, that it would be one of the greatest times we've had. Pray that young people would come to know you. Lord Jesus, today we want to say, I love you. God, I care about you. But now I need to start choosing to show you. The greatest command from the very words of the Son of God is love God. Love God. With everything that I am, I need to show you my thoughts, my actions, my words. I need to live my life like I love you. Moving to our separate ways, I pray that you would bless us. Bring us back next week, expecting even greater things. In Christ's name, amen.